Dr. Kennedy Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to address the small matter of the future of the planet. While the Rio +20 conference on sustainable development didn't push Tom Cruise's marital woes off the front pages, Rio +20 was nonetheless of passing significance to the future of humankind. In 1992, the first Earth Summit agreed on the Rio Declaration, Agenda 21, and framework conventions for climate change and biodiversity. But binding obligations that followed have been inadequate to meet the global challenges. In fact, since 1992, we see negative progress towards the imperative of global sustainability. 5 critical facts record a planet in decline. Global population rose from 5.5 billion to 7. Our global ecological overshoot rose from 18% to 50%. Greenhouse emissions rose from 42 gigatons to 50. Of the 9 planetary boundaries, we already exceed 3. Biodiversity loss has intensified to a range of 100 to 1,000 times above the natural rate. Despite the Cairo Action Programme, the global population is projected to reach 9.2 billion by 2050. Despite the Kyoto Protocol, global emissions are projected to rise further to 56 gigatons by 2020. The voluntary pledges total half of that required for the 2-degree threshold. None of this was explicitly addressed at Rio +20. Instead, we got 283 paragraphs of painfully negotiated platitudes. Let's be honest, this document will not adequately meet the global challenge. We actually face 2 crises, neither of which is formally acknowledged by the international community. We face a global ecological crisis, and we face a global governance crisis. The inability of the international community to properly resolve the interrelated problems. New Zealand, by and large, keeps its head down. We have no appetite for grim challenge under this government. We have no readiness to take a lead. We fall back upon national platitudes about our clean green image. An image, of course, is just that. This government has discreetly, lest anyone notice, reverted to the phrase sustainable development and the word sustainability again, after a brief and frenzied purge in 2009. So New Zealand trotted it out again at Rio +20. Back in New Zealand, back in 92, National's Rob Story was moved to assert at Rio that, quote, sustainable development is the strong thread that will weave the tapestry of our common future. New Zealand accepted, he said, the need for extra financial resources for sustainable development. Quote, we have joined others in pledging our commitment to do this. On climate change, we signed the Framework Convention and look forward to its entry into force. International action, said Mr. Story, quote, is only effective if it is coupled with strong national action. I pledge New Zealand to such action. And finally, quote, we have to remember that this gathering is but a first step in a journey that will take us together into the 21st century. We need to look to the future with hope, determination and commitment to change values, behaviour and actions. The words of National's Amy Adams last month rang out with less passion and conviction. This is because New Zealand, in the intervening time, has decisively non-delivered. She thought better than acknowledge our failure to live up to the commitments we made in 92, and that we have not yet changed our values, our behaviour and our actions. She forgot to mention the global ecological overshoot of our own national footprint outpacing the global average, exceeding our share of the planet's resource capacity more than twofold. Ms. Adams found time to tweet on Brittany Trilford's speech. It did not occur to acknowledge that, with our excessive ecological footprint, we are incurring permanent theft from Brittany's generation. She failed to apologise that despite our pledge in 92 to take strong national action, our gross emissions have increased by 16%, from 62 to 72 million tonnes. She failed to acknowledge that despite Mr. Story's ringing promise, our ODA percentage remains static at around 0.28%. We once were warriors, a proud nation attaching importance to honouring the international commitments we made. The mana of our people has, since the beginning of time, depended on us doing what we say we will. At Rio, we failed.
Dr. Paul Hutchison.